Hello, and welcome to Staying Global While Staying Home. I'm Lucy Newcomb, the CEO of the Newcomb Global Group, and your host today. I'm so honored and delighted to be sitting here today with Zimkhita Buwa, who is CEO and board member for Quintica, South Africa. Zimkhita and I have known each other for almost 10 years now. I had the pleasure of meeting her in one of her first of many accolades when she was nominated to be an emerging leader for the US State Department Tech Women Program. For almost 20 years, Zimkhita has been a trailblazer in innovation and digital, working her way up from the SAP Business Intelligence Analyst slot at an energy group to Chief Operating Officer at Bright House Software Development Company, and later becoming head of Intelligence Business Applications Core Practice, got it,
Yes.
at Data. She's also been nominated for the MTN Outstanding Women in ICT Awards and nominated for other key accolades like Digital Female Awards in the category of Global Hero. She is certainly a hero of mine. Zimkhita, welcome.
Thank you, Lucy. What an honor and a pleasure to have this catch up with you. It's been long overdue. And thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Zimkhita. It's really wonderful to see you shining in your new CEO, not quite so new anymore, CEO role. And why don't you take just a quick minute to give us some context about what Quintica does, and particularly in South Africa, of course, and how you see your role as a CEO. It can be different for everyone.
Sure. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you so much. So I joined Quintica South Africa on the 1st of September. I still remember the day. And funny enough, I joined remotely because, we're all over in terms of the regions in South Africa. Some are in Johannesburg, some are in Cape Town. And so it was just easier to join remotely. So as Quintica South Africa, we were founded in 2002. However, I must mention that we are part of a larger group that has a presence in the Middle East as well as Africa. So it's quite interesting to work with our Middle East counterparts. But what we do greatly is actually share knowledge for the benefit of our clients. So we essentially help our organizations or various organizations from multiple industries really transform the way they do business through technology. And we're about combining technology and human capabilities, our human capability as well as our clients' human capabilities. At the core of what we do, it's really about service experience. So we're obsessed about it. It's not just our day job. And we also focus on leveraging technology in order to modernize processes and with the aim of driving efficiency for our clients. So we really help our clients reduce their costs. We help them create a greater service experience throughout their enterprise. And at the core of it and at the heart of it is obviously technology. How do we achieve this? We achieve this by stitching together various digital platforms, largely in the cloud, in order to unlock company-wide productivity as well as competitive advantage. And we also partner with some of the largest technology providers in the world to make this a reality. So just to give you a view, we have an incredible team of about 150 people, all located across the Middle East and Africa, with a strong client base of about 160 across various regions. In terms of our industries that we operate in, we service clients in the financial services sector, retail, energy, pharma, aviation, you name it, telecoms, mining as well. So we've got, a great spread of clients across those industries. If I look at the size of the clients that we service, it ranges from small to mid-market enterprises right up to large enterprises. And I think, this is something that we mentioned earlier, is that the wide range of clients really showcases that there's no organization out there that isn't thinking about the importance of technology and how technology can enable their growth. And so no matter how large or small, every single organization is talking about digital transformation and executing on a digital strategy out there. And so we're at the heart of that.
Yes, it's interesting that you don't sound like you're reacting. A lot of folks are in the position of reacting, and probably a lot of your clients were like calling you up madly, reacting, in March 2020 or so, maybe April 2020 or so. And it
Yeah.
sounds like you're really, just as you are the trailblazer and of course the perfect person for this role. Well done, everyone. It sounds like your company is also trying to be out in front, as actually we are also trying to help our clients be ready for return. And now that we're not quite ready for return, how to navigate these long transitions. It sounds like you're in a similar place.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the benefit came from the investments that we made and us being intentional about selecting cloud platforms. So when clients had to pivot and basically work remotely and change their way of work completely, we were ready with the right technology platforms. And I think that's where our growth has come from.
Well, that makes sense because cloud's not going anywhere anytime soon, if ever. That sounds like, luckily clouds can't get pandemics. We can be grateful for that. Well, maybe I should maybe not speak too soon, but thank you. That's a really great frame for our conversation today. So, talking with a trailblazer who's helping other trailblazers be out in front. Let's start with our discussion about navigating the pandemic and start with an aerial view. How have you seen, you kind of have talked about the cloud-driven changes that you're seeing and staying out in front. Can we go down a little bit more granularly and talk about how you see your clients and your own company as well, if you wish, how they have been navigating things with the pandemic, and then we'll drill down even further into some case studies or examples if you have them.
Sure. So, I mean, if I look at from a macro view in terms of South Africa, I think we can't deny that the pandemic was a game changer for us. I think it'll be remembered in the history book as a challenging period. There were lives that were lost. There were, households that suffered dearly because of job losses, and some businesses were shut down. But I do think that we need to recognize that through all the challenging and through all those testing times, we are still here. We're servicing our clients. We're looking after our incredibly resilient people, and we personally are growing as an organization. What the pandemic did do for us as Quintica was to force us to think differently about how we work, how we service our clients, what services we take to market. And I think as I mentioned, we were fortunate enough to have actually seen growth during the pandemic, which is not something that a lot of organizations can say out there. What it did highlight, though, was the importance of putting the employee at the center of everything that we do. A lot of people talk about, customer centricity or even putting the customer first, but we're about putting our employees first. And because of that, I think, things like mental wellness, making sure that, you give people the right support, those were all brought to the forefront. And I think COVID-19 also reminded us of who we are as an organization. First and foremost, we are a human company. We're completely reliant on our human capital. And so during the lockdown, just like any other organization, we had to pivot and we had to deal with the intricacies and also the challenges of working from home. A lot of people are energized by being in a team environment, in the same room, feeding off each other. And we couldn't do that anymore. So we had to find different ways of energizing people. We had to find different ways of delivering projects. Before we would be at client sites and we had to change and now start delivering remotely. But through it all, our people were resilient and we didn't have any shortage of feedback from our clients and partners about how well our people were delivering. So I think even though we were faced with challenging times, I'm grateful that we didn't retrench anyone. We prioritize our people's well-being, even if sometimes that impacted some of our projects. And we walked away actually last year being a profitable business, which is something that we're really grateful for. And if we delve down to what our clients were experiencing, I think, when I talk to a lot of our clients, all of them were experiencing the same thing. They had to pivot, start working remotely, start thinking about cloud platforms that they never thought about before, just to be able to continue operating, to continue servicing their clients, and to improve the employee experience. And so I think, the challenges were universal, the experiences were also very similar, but where we were a little bit ahead was the fact that we saw the investment in cloud 5-6 years ago, even before the pandemic hit, and we took that leap of ensuring that we invest in those platforms, whereas some of our clients only started doing so because of the pandemic.
Thank you. That's really helpful. I know that, and it's especially interesting to hear about the employee first mentality, because
Yes.
everybody was kind of scrambling, and there again, you're just the perfect person for that. It's so great. I usually don't get to speak with guests that I've known for a long time, so it's really great having watched your trajectory for almost a decade to know that you would be intuitive enough to know that, whereas most of us as CEOs, we're still scrambling, kind of, putting clients first, and all of us kind of scrambling together. You had a very clear vision, and that you're the first person that I've spoken with, including our own company, that did have that and kept modeling that, and even at the price of renegotiating some projects. So what other, since you're very services obsessed, we're very services obsessed, as many of our viewers will be, can you tell us a little bit about how, obviously no trade secrets, but how did your team deliver? You talked about the extra delivery and the feedback that you got. Can you give us an example or kind of some extra steps that they took? Can you give us some concrete ways we could learn from?
I think you've got to be intentional about looking after your people, so one is you can't automatically expect that everyone is going to thrive in a remote or a working from home environment. And so your leadership has to be in touch. You've got to have either daily stand-ups or individual check-ins, to the point where you even allocate a peer to check in on someone. We have people that were living alone, so you absolutely have to check in on people. Are you okay? Do you need anything? And then also if people, contracted COVID, then you would make sure that, you either help with organizing, food for them, making sure that it's delivered. You have to go the extra mile for your people, because the way I see it, at the end of the day, you are not going to have any clients if you don't have the appropriate people servicing them. And so you've got to treat your people like gold. And then also we invested in a lot of cloud platforms that we use internally. There's one particular one called Productive that we use for agile delivery. And so everything from our sales pipeline to, to the projects that we deliver, to the tasks, to the billing. So it's very much integrated into how we work. And everyone knows who's working on what, who's available, which capacity is available, and also from a forecasting perspective. So the ability to have that one single pane of glass that you can look at in terms of your entire business was key, especially because you couldn't just walk over to someone's desk and ask them about a question that you had. So it's important to have the intelligence as well as that data available to you.
Amazing. Well, are there any particular things from this, as a sales team, since you're obviously not always able to go on calls, has your sales team been okay switching to a more virtual model? Because they're obviously trying to stay very close to the customer, the way you're trying to stay close to the employee.
Yeah. No, I mean, to be honest, it took a while I think our delivery teams adjusted pretty well. But as you know, I mean, sales is very much a personal or one-to-one engagement with the client. And so to now have to, be intentional about setting up meetings, working via Zoom. Sometimes people don't have their videos on, so you can't see whether a deal is actually progressing or how the client feels about what you're presenting to them. So it did take a while for us to find our feet. And so as a result, the first 2 quarters of the year during the initial pandemic, it was very difficult, because I think everybody was just trying to navigate. But I think we've picked it up, and we're now able to engage with people via videos, via telephone. And I think it's also helped that things have now opened up a bit. So there are some clients that are comfortable for you to come over to their offices and actually meet with them. But it has changed how we engage. It's also changed how we sell, because before, you could meet someone for a coffee and have a long chat with them before actually getting to the point. Whereas now, you only have a 30-minute window with someone, and you've got to be quite focused and straightforward about what you're trying to discuss with them. So it's made us pretty focused, I think.
Yeah, it's a little bit harder in cultures like yours where relationship is key. Yes, Edwin Hall, the famous anthropologist, called it a high context culture. So places like all of Africa, really, and Japan, where the relationship usually precedes the deal, is probably suffering a bit of a culture crash.
It did, but you have to find different ways of building that relationship. So, we talk about being relevant to the client even when there is no deal to be landed. So that ability to just pick up the phone and check in, how are the kids doing? Even if it's just a 2-minute discussion of saying, look, whatever you need, I'm here. How are the kids? How are you doing personally? How is the business? Without trying to sell anything.
Brilliant.
So you've had to find ways of connecting and engaging in a different way, even when there isn't a sale to be made.
That's that beautiful long view in the high context culture that is sorely, we're starting into a new series of lockdowns here. So it just as people were getting used to the idea we could have some freedom and start to open up. So we're kind of in a different cycle from you folks right now. And so it's interesting to watch how those things get navigated. And I really appreciate you highlighting them for us and for our viewers, because I think we're going to be doing this dance for a little while.
Yeah, and I mean, there is no silver bullet. It's not easy, and different approaches work for different people. But I think we've got to afford ourselves the ability to try, and not give up.
Sounds like a good thing. Well, before we finish, why don't we talk just briefly about whether you've seen any silver linings come out of this pandemic? Anything that, we call them unintended consequences in leadership, anything that is really possible now that wasn't possible before?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the fact that we're in the technology industry has really helped us, and it's helped our partners, it's helped our clients. I think the one silver lining was that the requirement for digital platforms was accelerated with COVID. I mean, some of the conversations that took years were now taking weeks. So the ability to land deals that normally took a long sales cycle is one of the silver linings. I think COVID has helped our clients think differently about how they service their clients. We've seen, or they service their customers, and we've seen how, for example, industries that didn't consider e-commerce at all are now actually open to it. They've even gone as far as to acquire e-commerce startups. So you're actually seeing that that collaboration between corporates and startups really developing quite quickly. I think we've also seen an acceleration of innovation. So where people used to innovate in years, and now people are innovating in weeks. And a good example of this is one of our partners, ServiceNow, actually developed a return to work safely solution, which was quite popular with our clients. It really just helped clients ensure that employees understood COVID protocols, and they were quite familiar with what would happen when they got back to work. And with the same platform, it was actually used for assisting employees to get vaccinated as well as their families. So I'm also thinking about the adoption of cloud, which we mentioned earlier. I mean, that had stalled. Gartner had anticipated a spike in the adoption, I think about 5 years ago. And when it came to South Africa, it had actually stalled. And I think with COVID, that just accelerated the adoption of cloud and also the appetite for investing in cloud platforms.
That's exciting. All of those innovations are exciting, and we're seeing some patterns across the board about certainly the digital transformation. And as you said, instead of years, these things are taking weeks.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that, for us personally, the opportunities for growth, the opportunity for finding new revenue streams that we never thought of before,
Ah,
and also for improving, the employee experience, that in itself has unlocked new opportunities. So yeah, I mean, even now we actually advertising for young people to come into the organization. And it's not just about, getting additional hands in terms of delivery, but it's also about lifting others and ensuring that you create job opportunities. Because as you know, in our country, I mean, unemployment is rife. And for us, if we can take, even if it's just 5 people and give them job opportunities, you actually improving their families' well-being, you're actually improving an entire village or even an entire community. And so with that in mind, I also personally have benefited in my career from having that ethos of saying, let me not be the only one that's progressing and being successful, but who else can I take along with me? And I really, really believe that the only reason why I am in this position that I'm in is because I've had that ethos throughout my career.
well, and it's been so clear. And thank you for taking me and us along with you and up with you today. It's been a superb pleasure. Were there any last words you wanted to offer in terms of, you've been so inspiring. I can't imagine there's more, but I just want to provide the opportunity.
No, but I just want to say to you, thank you for, creating this platform. I've watched some of the other recordings, and it's just great to hear the different perspectives, hear how people are dealing with the pandemic in different ways and how it's impacted different countries. It's educational, it's inspiring. And I know sometimes it's probably even for you difficult to carry on doing these webinars, but I would like to just say thank you. We salute you for what you do. And also on a personal level, I mean, I've known you for so long, but just the support that you have for the women in tech, for technology, for South Africa as well. So thank you to you as well. Please keep going.
I'm honored. Thank you so much, Zimkhita, for everything and for your kind words. I'm happy to support and amplify your work anytime. Please don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks for everything. All the best for continued success.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Please join us again next month when we'll be speaking with Cheryl Van Dijk, head of the Digital Leadership Institute in Brussels. And thank you so much for tuning in today. Again, I'm Lucy Newcomb, the CEO of the Newcomb Global Group, global business from the inside out. Please think of us if you're looking to bring your office or your products and services to market. Even with the pandemic, we are staying global while staying home. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.